Hi guys, we are reading a Persuasion book by Scott Adams called Win Bigly, and we are on page number 12, and it's Facts Are Weaker Than Fiction. Reading to Leon so that he can learn how to persuade. If you have ever tried to talk someone out of their political beliefs by providing facts, you know it doesn't work. That's because people think they have their own facts, better facts, and if they know they don't have better facts, they change the subject. People are not easily switched from one political opinion to another. And facts are weak persuasion. So, Trump ignores facts whenever they're inconvenient. I know you don't want to think this works in terms of persuasion, but it does. And I know you want to believe that having a president who ignores facts makes the world a worse place in a number of vague ways that you can't quite articulate. But Trump tends to be directionally accurate on the important stuff, and the little stuff never seems to matter. I want to be clear that I'm not expressing a preference for ignoring facts. I'm simply saying that a master persuader can do it and still come out ahead, no matter how many times the media points out the errors. The average consumer of political news can hold only a handful of issues in his head. Any of the lesser topics get flushed out of memory, so Trump can invent any reality he wants for the less important topics. All you will remember is that he provided his reasons. He didn't apologize, and his opponents called him a liar. They always do. True story. 10 minutes ago, I read a long list of Trump's tweets that PolitiFact judged to be factually inaccurate. I can recall only a few of them. They all blended together in my mind, and none made much of an impression. I had no personal or emotional connections to any of them. They were just background noise. If Trump had apologized for any of his factual errors, I would remember whatever alleged wrongness triggered the apology. That would stick in my mind. I assumed that at least that's partially why he doesn't do apologies. Apologizing would be a sign of weakness and invite continual demands for more apologies. In Trump's specific case, apologies wouldn't have helped his campaign because there would have been too many demands for them. But in the case of normal people who are not master persuaders and only occasionally make public mistakes, apologies are still usually the right way to go. So persuasion tip number 6. If you are not a master persuader running for president, find the sweet spot between apologizing too much, which signals a lack of confidence, and never apologizing for anything, which makes you look like a sociopath. If I haven't yet persuaded you that mistakes can be useful in persuasion, consider a small 2012 study by researcher Daniel Oppenheimer that found students had better recall when a font was harder to read. Oppenheimer explains the unexpected result by noting that people slow down and concentrate harder to compensate for the hard-to-read facts, that hard-to-read font. That extra concentration is what makes lasting memories form. For more science on the topics of how intentional mistakes can aid in memory retention, I recommend the book Impossible to Ignore by Dr. Carmen Simon. The gist of it is that you need to surprise the brain or make it work a little extra to form memories. Our brains automatically delete our routine memories fairly quickly. Most of us don't know what we were doing on this day a year ago, but we easily remember things that violate our expectations. A good general rule is that people are more influenced by visual persuasion, emotion, repetition, and simplicity than they are by details and facts. Trump inaccurately described his plans for the wall. It probably won't be a physical wall for the entire border span, and that lowered his credibility and tainted his brand. But he makes up for it by using solid gold visual persuasion, calls to emotion, simplicity, repetition, and the mistake itself to make his walled idea compelling. If you're using super strong persuasion, you can be wrong on the facts and even the logic of your argument and still win. I will pause here to tell you that while there is a lot of science behind the best ways to influence people, choosing among the many ways to persuade via surprising the brain can be more art than science. No two situations are alike. So knowing what methods of persuasion worked in a different context might not help you in your current situation. Warning: intentionally ignoring the facts and logic in public is a dangerous strategy unless you are a master persuader with thick skin and an appetite for risk. Most of us don't have the persuasion skills, risk profile, and moral flexibility to pull it off. We don't know for sure that Trump came out ahead by oversimplifying his wall idea to the point where it sounded crazy to critics and even some supporters. But in my judgment, he probably did come out ahead. By Inauguration Day, we were talking about the costs and the details of the wall idea to the point where it sounded crazy, but the country had already accepted that the wall would probably get built, at least in part. And in the long run, presidents are judged by their success. Love or hate, historians will someday probably judge Trump's wall to be a presidential success story. Success cures most types of mistakes. So that's the end of that part. Next, we'll go on to persuasion vocabulary. That starts on page 27 in this book, Win Bigly by Scott Adams. That was day number 4. See you on day number 5. Like, subscribe, comment.